atmosphere because the light from the moon isn't reflecting off the sun for all I
Bro,
know.
bro, using the atmosphere to explain every phenomenon like an optical illusion or like magic, that
It's
does
not
not
magic.
work.
We understand the
Not
physics,
whoa,
okay?
it's
Bro,
not magic,
bro,
dude.
you can explain everything by saying refraction and the
No, no,
atmosphere.
But we're
dude,
not.
we're talking about how we perceive a light. Forgive us if we're going to start talking about the things that are going to affect how we perceive that light, especially when there's air in between us and that light, which is most definitely going to cause phenomena to happen that is well documented in physics. Forgive us for pointing that out to you.
Yeah, and the atmosphere makes the moon looks uh crescent shape.
Sorry,
No,
what do you think makes the moon look crescent shaped?
The shadow of the earth.
The shadow of the Earth
oh,
makes the moon look crescent shaped
that
during an eclipse.
he doesn't
Not
know the
eclipse.
difference between
I,
phases
I,
and
I
eclipses.
just want to make sure I've got this
I'm
right.
not. I'm not saying eclipse. I didn't say the eclipse.
Oh, so you think that the phases of the moon are caused by the curvature of the Earth?
What do you think? What do you think the moon?
Even in your own model, that's fucking wrong. The phases of the moon are caused by the orbital motion of the Earth. It's got fuck all to do with the Earth casting shadow on it. The only time an Earth casts an eclipse. You need to go and study your own model better before you come here pontificating about it. Or do you want us to educate you about it? Go and look at a short video on YouTube by NASA that explains the phenomena of the phases of the moon. You'll notice that's not the shadow of the fucking Earth.
And
Forgive
what is
me
I
it?
for
want to
being
say
sharp
something.
with you, mate, but what the fuck?
We don't become flat earthers by trying to dream up models and wonder how things ought to be in an alternate dimension or anything like that. Our community ended up this way because we became very familiar with mainstream claims. We became very familiar with heliocentrism, with how the globe is surveyed, how the globe is rendered out of mathematics, how navigation works. You know, we study all these things and we arrived at our conclusions not because we're dismissing science or discovery or mathematics. It's because the prevailing story is contradictory. It doesn't make sense and has many paradoxes.
Can you explain why does the moon become a crescent shape?
Well, it appears like the dark side of the moon that's not lit up is not lit up by the sun.
Why? Why?
Why? Why does the moon go through phases? I don't know. Maybe God made it that way. Why do you think the moon goes through phases? You said it was Earth curvature. Now you know that's wrong. Like in your own model that
And
you're defending.
and why is it?
Jedi, explain to you what your position holds if you're to defend it properly. The phases of the moon are not caused by the syzygy alignment of the sun, earth, and moon together. That would be an eclipse. The phases are caused by the sun's angle not reflecting light to you from the sun, which appears to be the case. I know some folks on my side will disagree, but it looks that way to me.
Bro, if
What?
the earth is not if the earth is not in between the sun and the moon, the sun would always appear like a circle.
What are you smoking?
Well, wait, let me look that up to be sure about what I'm talking about. Wait.
And then you can come back and tell us how your model explains a true representation of the curved surface of the Earth on the curved surface of the moon. You might think your model explains shit, dude, but the hell. But yeah, go and educate yourself on the actual model that you're trying to defend, please.
Bro, it's like what I am saying. The Earth is in between the sun and the moon in my
The
model.
Earth is in
Why
between
are you
the
saying like
sun and the
nonsense?
moon,
Why are you
causing a
lying?
lunar eclipse. That's a lunar eclipse. You'll notice in the model of moon phases, this is exactly the same position as we would observe a full moon. We only observe eclipses when there's a full moon, for example. This is when the moon is behind the Earth. Depending on its angle, it's going to depend whether it enters the area of shadow or not. You do know this, right? So tell me again that you understand your model, and then I'll rip it apart for you. But if you're going to be ignorant of your model, then what I say is going to be fucking irrelevant.
Bro, I'm not ignorant about my model. What I
You are
said
okay. So what
is the
causes moon
phases,
phases again? Just to be clear,
the shadow of the the shadow of the Earth.
causes moon. Okay, so would that be the shadow of the Earth on a new moon, for example? That's
A
when we
new
don't
moon?
see the moon.
How do you know which one is correct? The Ptolemaic model or the Copernican model? Because they both can explain this phenomenon,
Oh,
right?
sorry, Yoda, I do apologise. I wanted to figure out what the difference between a new moon and an eclipse is.
Ah, okay.
Sorry, dude.
No, it's okay. I back down.
You do know the difference between a new moon and a lunar eclipse, don't you, sir?
A new moon and a lunar eclipse? Where's a new moon?
Yeah. A new moon is when we don't see the moon. Do you know what a crescent moon is?
Yeah.
Okay, a crescent moon happens just after the new moon. Now, is the shadow on a crescent moon, which is the entirety of the moon apart from a tiny sliver, is that shadow on a new moon caused by the shadow of the Earth?
Wait, I'm actually looking that up.
Okay, cool, thank you. Understand the lunar cycle, right? New moon, crescent moon, half moon, full moon, waning into a crescent, and then back again into a new moon. Crescent getting bigger to full moon getting smaller, tiny crescent to new moon.
I knew
The
this was going to take a
new
long time
moon,
because I kept hearing model, model,
yeah,
model,
I
model.
know.
I knew it was going to take a long time. Yeah, just
The,
knew it.
the new moon is when the moon is between the earth and the sun, but we don't see the moon because of the shadow of the earth. Is that what you're saying, mate? The reason why I'm pointing it out is because the moon is in a completely 180-degree different position with regards to a new moon and an eclipse. A new moon is when the moon is between the earth and the sun. The sun's light is on the far side of the moon, illuminating that portion, but because we're on the other side of the moon, it's in darkness to us. Now, 180 degrees later, where the earth is between the sun and the moon, this is where we observe a full moon. The light of the sun is illuminating the full portion of the part of the moon that is tidally locked with the earth. Coincidentally, this is when we would see an eclipse. The new moon is being eclipsed by the shadow of the earth. The reason why I keep harping on about this is because lunar eclipses and lunar phases are caused by two different things, and you seem to be confused. Are you still with us? You don't know. Jin, you did really well by renaming our friend I don't know, because he definitely don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable saying I don't know. I'm actually looking up. It's okay not to know things
That's fine,
Yeah,
and
dude.
get to know.
That's
yeah, but I
fine,
wouldn't.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't name
it's
myself
just,
that. When it comes to
just
communicating with you, I have to say I don't know, which makes me sound like I don't know in order to. So you don't know is appropriate for you, but not for me. Okay, thanks.
yeah,
I
you
don't
know
name myself
everything.
silly names. I get the idea. It's a psychological little troll going on there, and then you're going on about the model, and then you're saying to people, look up because you can learn how the earth is curving or not. Don't measure the surface. Don't measure the surface that's under your feet. Look up, talk about models, right? And then the earth is not casting any shadow on the moon. You see what I mean,
okay.
ladies and gentlemen? He doesn't even know his own model.
Yeah. I think this is why I'm like maybe worried. Just for you, mate. If you're defending your point of view by saying to us that the globe Earth explains these things, but you don't comprehend the explanation. I appreciate that you say that you don't know, and that's fine, but you must understand that you can't really defend that position if you don't actually know, right? You believe there's
Yeah, I'm trying to
explanations out there, but you
understand
don't
both
actually
positions.
understand what they are.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand both positions,
And
and
your
it
own.
seems like
Yeah.
you're not providing a model so I can
Yeah,
check.
thank you. Exactly. We will not be providing you with a model
And why is that?
because we're not going to be making a model for you. I've explained this to you already. It's going to depend on the type of model that you
Okay,
want. I'm not going to be
uh,
able to make you a scaled down version of the Earth for you to put on your dining room table.
okay, what I would rationally do, like I would examine the one who's providing a model and scrutinize
Yeah, we've
uh,
provided the model of the
the aspects
attenuation
of
of
it.
light. We've provided the model
No,
of perspective.
you you can't provide a model for a single phenomenon. You need to
So
provide
a
a
model for a single
mixed model
phenomena.
that explains.
So
Yeah,
is that single
you
phenomenon
need
as
to
the
provide
sunset?
a model that explains all phenomena consistently.
Okay, so
That's
forgive
all model
me.
does.
Okay, your microphone's cutting in and out, dude, and it's quite hard for me to understand you. So I'm sorry for jumping in. I keep thinking that you've stopped. But if we're going to be talking about how we observe the world, like why does this appear in the way that it does to us? We've got to talk about optics. We've got to talk about how light physically passes through the air. Now, if you want a model for that, there's a very well described physics model for it. Doesn't require a flat surface, doesn't require a curved surface. It's just require how you understand light passing through the medium of air. Very well defined and described. But you want that on
Yeah,
a
but
flat surface.
I want the exact mechanism that light does to
We've explained it to
appear
you. What
or
does
to
light
make you.
travel through?
Yeah, it travels through a medium, but that's you can't just say since light travels through a medium, I'm gonna
It's
explain
an,
everything through refraction. The lunar eclipse is due to
I
refraction,
don't think any of
and
us has said
the
the word refraction, though.
sunset is due to atmosphere, and the atmosphere or the light being. You can use refraction to explain anything,
No,
Dude,
you
but
can't actually,
but
because some of these phenomena, like mirages, are also caused by reflection. And that's another feature of the globe problem, is that the law of reflection, not necessarily refraction. I'm talking reflection. The law of reflection debunks the globe.
the law of reflection debunks the globe.
yeah,
Yeah, when you can see the surface of the Earth from a standing height of about, I don't know, 2 meters, 6 feet, if you can see the surface of the Earth beyond 3 miles or 5 kilometers, You're seeing reflected light off the backside of a ball hitting your eye. How's that possible? The ray has to have a logical optical path to your eye. You shouldn't be seeing the backside of a basketball that you have in your hands, but people think they can see the backside of the globe. And they actually invoke refraction to explain it, which is hilarious and ironic. And also the type of refraction they require has what's called the opposite lapse rate of what is actually measured and observed. The lapse rate being the gradient, the steepness of the
You know,
gradient from the surface to a high point of elevation.
I would agree with you that it would be ironic to explain it through refraction if they are not providing like math, physics, and they're
It,
not providing the math behind it.
well, the point is they attempt to provide math, but the math is the opposite of what's measured in physical reality. In other words, their claim of the mechanism behind terrestrial refraction requires the opposite conditions of what's normally present.
Well,
Furthermore, if it were terrestrial refraction, like what they're claiming, we'd see signs of chromatic separation because refraction is handled by different wavelengths of light in a different way. A longer wavelength won't be as altered in its path by a shorter wavelength. And so you should see a separation of colors under the extreme conditions that people claiming terrestrial refraction must actually present. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, they should provide some kind of physical mechanism for what's taking place, and their explanation is the opposite of what's actually observed in reality. We can also present papers on this.
yeah, if it's not identical to reality, then it's wrong. But I did not actually conduct like experiment to know if it's wrong or not, or if it's not identical to reality or not. So my major problem here is I'm not having a model that explains the different phenomena with the same model. So, well, I would like examine the heliocentric model and try to find phenomena that are not explainable
Yeah,
by
we've
that
got loads of
model.
those. We've got loads of
Uh,
examples, like more than you would even
how
think
can you have,
exist.
bro? How can you have loads of examples of phenomena not explained by the heliocentric model, and you don't even have a model of your own
We,
perspective?
we
For the
don't
love of
we
saying
don't
this,
benchmark our observations to a model for the 100th time. You're doing it backwards.
because falsification is independent of replacement. I don't have to provide you with another story to point out that your story is incorrect.
Well, either yours is incorrect then.
So you haven't got a model for you to claim that your model's incorrect. You keep saying that. We wouldn't provide you with a model. I've reiterated this position. If you want to find out what the Earth is, you're not going to need a model. You're going to need to measure the surface of the Earth. That's really what we need to be doing. You seem to be appealing to models. Why you want to reify a model into a true reality, I have absolutely no idea. But it seems to be the logical framework of most people that come in here. It's completely illogical to reify models into true physical reality. You do understand this, right? You pointed this out earlier. You can have multiple models explaining the phenomena. So which model is true then?
The Copernican model and
We
the
have
Ptolemaic
we
model
have
are different
we
models
have
that have
points.
equal, in fact, one has better explanatory power than the other.